I'm often asked, Bill, what do you mean by being out of alignment? So I'd like to use the analogy of an automobile or your car. And if you drive a car that the tires or the wheels are out of alignment, what happens? The tires wear out. And what happens when the tires wear out? The ride begins to get bumpy and shakes and shimmies at certain speeds. And that shaking and shimmying obviously is going to wear out your tires, the joints, your tie rod ends, your shocks, and even when you exit the off ramp, your brakes begin to vibrate, so then the brakes get worn, the rotors warp. And obviously, if the car's out of alignment and things aren't rolling smoothly and there's friction, more friction, there is more energy required to accomplish the same thing. So the gas mileage drops. The car needs to work harder to get the same result, right? So we are the same way. If we ignore the warning signs of being out of alignment with our business, then we too will wear out. We too require more energy, and we will fatigue, and other things will begin to break down. We are just like that. And so today I want to talk about that further. What are the symptoms of being out of alignment? How do you know if you're out of alignment in your business? Well, first of all, I'd like to talk about what most people do is they try to learn more how-to stuff. What's interesting, if you look at, I used to go to 3-day weekend seminars, and they put out these people, the hot seat people that had tremendous results. And it's true, a certain percentage of the people in the room get massive results. The people, but there are very few of them. The majority of the people in the middle group get incremental results. I mean, they get some improvement, but not as much as those top guns. But there's also more of them in the middle. And then on the other end of the spectrum are a few people get mediocre results, or if any results at all. It's like the bell curve back in grade school. I don't know if they still use the bell curve for scoring, but a few get great scores. The bulk in the middle get some incrementally better scores, and then the ones on the other end they flunk, right? So it's the same thing when we take a course. What happens is we take a course, we learn something exciting, we buy into a program, and we start to implement it, but something doesn't feel right, and our enthusiasm begins to wane and drops off completely. And then what do? We go looking for another course or class or technology or whatever it is to get that dopamine rush again, to start learning. The same thing happens. And that happens over and over again. I call it the chasing shiny lure syndrome. That's one of the symptoms of being out of alignment. You keep chasing something that's going to feel right to you. And the reality is we need to adapt things to who we really are. And one of the other symptoms is the roller coaster ride. I call it feast, famine, feast cycle. You get really busy doing things and things are going really well, but then you're avoiding things you really don't want to do, and inevitably the business begins to fall off because you're not doing the difficult and the hard things, right? And so you go through the feast, famine, feast roller coaster ride. You feel stressed and overwhelmed because you push yourself to the limit and you're juggling too many balls in the air that you're not able to focus on them properly because they don't excite you, they're not of interest to you, you're not great at them, and so you begin to drop balls. So there's stress and overwhelm as a symptom of being out of alignment. Avoidance and procrastination. We begin to avoid things because they don't feel right. We're not great at them, again, so we try not to do them and we avoid them. And again, that is what causes the stress and the overwhelm. So procrastination and avoidance, if you're doing that, it's probably because you're trying to do things that are out of alignment with who you really are. Incomplete projects and loose ends. That was my big battle. I just wouldn't finish things. And the reason I wouldn't finish them is because I was afraid that they weren't good enough. And being afraid that they're not good enough is another symptom of being out of alignment. We're not sure it's who we really are, so it's uncomfortable. If you struggle with indecision or difficulty making decisions, it is because we are out of alignment. We're not clear on who we are and where we're going, and therefore indecision happens. We can go this way or that way, and either way will do. We try to mimic other people, and we can't seem to get the pieces to fit together, so we have difficulty making decisions. Imposter syndrome. We may have great success because we push through and push through and push through, and we reach a level of productivity and success, so to speak. And then we begin to look around and say, somebody's going to figure out that I'm really not that good, because inside we feel uncomfortable with what we're doing that got us there, and we're afraid it's all going to collapse. The imposter syndrome is another symptom of being out of alignment. Fatigue and burnout. Now, this is different than overwhelm. Much like the imposter syndrome, we push through the things that we don't really want to do, and we push ourselves further than our business structure and systems allow. And it's like pushing back on a giant rubber band strung between two trees, or in this case, a slingshot. And we push back and we keep forcing and pushing and forcing and pushing. And eventually we get tired and we let go. And unfortunately, when we let go, or when the rubber band snaps, there is a lot of collateral damage in our personal lives, in our health, in the people that we work with our clientele. There's a lot of damage that happens because we get burned out and fatigued because we pushed ourselves through things that really didn't feel right to us, that we were uncomfortable with, that were out of alignment with who we really are. And we also run into self-judgment and comparison when we're out of alignment. You feel like you're a failure. You feel like you're not good enough. And oftentimes you try to fix yourself so that you can do a certain thing. Well, guess what? That's putting ice cream on top of, excuse my expression, dog crap. The dog crap's still under there, and eventually you're going to scoop through the ice cream and hit the dog crap again. I also use the analogy of learning a second language. You don't forget your first language when you learn a new language and layer it over your original language, do you? It's all still there. So those things that you're out of alignment with in your business or in your approach to things, if they're out of alignment before and you don't address the root cause of the sense of being out of alignment and the rough ride that you're experiencing, you can't just fix it with affirmations, because eventually the original discomfort or the out of alignment, the item that's out of alignment will come back to the surface and create a problem for you. So I think that's it for symptoms. What happens is we get out of alignment. We try to pursue the way someone else does things, and that's not going to work. We need to discover who you are, because you are you. It's truer than true. And then create the business and life that you want to live your way around that, and align with who you are, and everything works much more smoothly, just like the automobile we were talking about. You don't just put new tires on a car that's out of alignment. You're out of alignment. You can't fix it by just slapping shiny things on it. You have to fix the out of alignment, the things that are out of alignment, get the wheels back into alignment, and then you can put a bigger motor on, better tires, stronger brakes, and make the car go faster and faster. But if it's out of alignment, it's going to shimmy, shake, and wear out and crash and burn.